What you doing?
Resting.
Shouldn't you be working on your next video?
I'm tired. Leave me alone.
Is it cool if I film your video then, since I look and sound exactly like you, except for being evil?
Knock yourself out.
Cool. I'll take over from here then. Clappy! I have two microphones since nobody's monitoring audio, so hopefully you can hear this properly. Hi folks, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel if you've been keeping up with all the other videos. My name is Eric. So I started this channel a couple of months ago, and I feel like I've learned a couple new things along the way that might be beneficial to you if you're thinking of going out onto a creative platform like YouTube or Instagram or whatever it happens to be, some sort of public forum that allows you to push out content. This will relate to all the things. Some of it can be kind of ugly, and that's why I didn't really hear many other people talking about this kind of stuff, and if they did, they just kind of blew right past it because it is the uglier side of things. But I think it's important information that if you are interested in putting yourself out there in a public way, I think it's important to know these kind of things. So here are the top 3 things that I've learned so far in my first couple months on YouTube. Number 1, you're not as interesting as you think. And that's going to sound really harsh, but you gotta kind of accept that fact. So when I first started this channel, I had a bunch of expectations in terms of what kind of viewership I would get. So what I did was, I went out and I told everybody that I knew that I was gonna be doing this channel and to go watch my first video and all that sort of stuff. So I was telling all my friends, all my family, everybody that I felt like loved me or tolerated me to a certain extent that they might be interested in actually keeping up with my adventures or whatnot. So my expectation level was that I would have a pretty decent starting subscriber base and viewership level, because I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of family, and it just seemed like the beginning would be kind of easy and then it would get hard afterward, but how wrong I was. My first video, I released it and I got like 40 subscribers and like 80 views on the first video after the first couple days. And that's not that bad, but it gets worse, trust me. So after the release of that video, I went into my analytics. I looked at this thing called audience attention rate, and for those of you that aren't into the analytics and the metrics and all that boring stuff, basically what that means is how long did your viewers actually watch your video for, because that YouTube view counter, it's not really all that accurate. It goes up whether they're watching 1 second or 10 minutes of your video. It's not the greatest measure of whether your videos are successful. Anyway, back to the point, sidetrack. Point is, so I looked at that audience retention rate for that first video, and I had an average of about 13 seconds. So what that means is most people clicked on a video and watched about 13 seconds before getting bored out of their minds and getting the heck out of Dodge. So these are my closest friends and family that were the initial viewers of my video, and even they couldn't stand more than an average of 13 seconds of my face. So it's a little humbling in that way to realize that even the people that care about you most don't really care what you're doing. That's just the reality. So think about it. Like when you're hanging out with your friends, you might care about every single word that they say, but when you're at home doing your own thing, if that doesn't sound too bad, if you have a thick enough skin, and if you just really love what you're doing for the sake of doing it, then for sure, go on ahead. But just prepare yourself for the initial beat down on your self-esteem, because it's tough out there in the online world. Number 2. What is my number 2 again? Oh, God. Number 2, it's going to take up all the free time that you have. Everybody says that it takes a lot of time, but once you actually do it, you have no idea. Okay, let's break this down. So most of the people that you're watching on YouTube right now are probably really established. They probably have like 1 million subscribers and this is what they do for a living. This is their job. For people that are just starting out, obviously we're not making anything. In fact, this channel just cost me money, but we're not making anything. Therefore, we have to have all of our other jobs on top of all the other responsibilities and things that take up time in our schedule. So let me break it down for you. Let's go through this. Since I'm not being paid to do this, I need to work a regular job in order to, have a roof over my head and food on the table and stuff. I work 8 hours a day and then I commute one way for an hour and then one way for an hour back home. So in total, let's just say it's about 10 hours per day that I am unavailable, that I'm at work. Next, let's say that I sleep for an average of 7 hours. I don't sleep for 7 hours. It's always less. But anyways, let's say for the sake of brevity, I sleep for 7 hours a night because that's probably a healthy amount. So that's already 17 hours out of your 24 hours a day that's taken up. Now add to that all of life's responsibilities, cooking, cleaning, paying bills, all that stuff, that minute, boring stuff that you have to do though in order to live. It takes up time. So let's say I spend 2.5 hours doing all the things like feeding myself to keep myself alive. Now let's add another 1.5 hours for all those social and family responsibilities and obligations and things like that. We should always still, try and make time for our friends and I don't know about you, but my parents are getting older, maybe they need help with certain stuff, and a lot of my friends are going through this transition phase in life where they need support. It's always good to just maintain that social life to make sure it's not always about you. So let's say I spend an average of like 1.5 hours on that. Now normally I don't spend time with friends every single day, but I might spend a whole day on the weekend with friends, and then so let's break it down and average it out and say it's about 1.5 hours per day that you spend with friends and family and all those kind of social obligations. 2.5, let's add 4 hours, so now we're at 21 hours out of 24. You know how I mentioned health earlier? What about just getting a little bit of exercise, getting a little bit of movement? Can't just sit at the computer all day editing. So let's devote an extra hour to health, because without health you're gonna die and there's no point to anything anyway, so health. I also have another job, a second job. I run my own little company. It's called Limit 1 Productions. I do photos, videos, graphics, all that sort of media, digital content. I don't work for it constantly. It's just whenever a client happens to need my help for something. But let's say I average it out and say I work 1 hour per day on that. So now we're at 23 hours out of 24. Remember, I haven't even added things like unwinding, like reading a book, watching TV, a movie, playing video games. I don't get to do any of that stuff. So be prepared to not have time for that, because that 1 extra hour that you have in your day, that free time is gone now. It's going towards making these things. Now, hopefully what you're doing is fun for you, as it is for me, so it's not that bad. My videos take me about let's say a 10-hour shoot day, since I'm going out to go on an adventure. It's usually a whole day shoot, and then it takes me on average about 15 hours to edit one of the videos. Not that the editing is that difficult, it's just that there's so much random footage. I'm filming the entire day. There's a lot of garbage in there that I gotta sort through and cut out and everything, so it takes a while. There's all my time. I probably try and pack 28 hours of stuff into a 24-hour day, and that's why I don't sleep and I'm dying inside. But I'm having a great time, so yeah. Number 3, it's totally worth it if you're doing it for the right reasons. So I know all that stuff that I just mentioned, how it destroys your self-esteem, how it takes up all of your time. Well, it also can be really rewarding for the right reasons. I didn't start my channel to get like famous and get a lot of views or make money or anything. I made it for like a bunch of other reasons. And those reasons are personal to me, and therefore they're a measure for my own success internally. It doesn't make any sense. Basically what I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter how many views I get if I'm just creating these videos as an archive of my memories that I can always go back and revisit myself and feel really great about all the cool things that I've done. It doesn't matter if everybody else has seen it because there's only one viewer that really cares about that, and that's me, and so I'm happy enough with that. Or like, it doesn't matter how much time I end up sinking into this because every day I'm learning and I'm trying something new and I'm developing my skills, and so it's not a waste of time. I'm investing in myself, and that's an important thing to invest in if you want to continue to grow and evolve as a person. I've mentioned it in my New Year's resolutions. One of the big parts of my personality is I'm a lifelong learner. I'm constantly just always pushing to get better, and it's dangerous to get stagnant. There's just so many other reasons to put yourself out there in a creative avenue like YouTube or Instagram or whatever. I only know two. And so if you have reasons other than just making money or getting famous or whatnot, it can be totally worth it, but that's up to you. Your success on whatever platform you choose to put yourself out there on, that's completely dependent on you. Nobody else can judge whether you are a success or not, because if you have your own reasons for creating what you're creating, then it's totally worth it. And I think that's important to always remind ourselves of, that there's a lot more reasons for doing what we're doing other than what the societal norms of success look like. I don't know if that makes sense. So anyway, those are the 3 things that I have learned so far in my first couple months on YouTube. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully it both encourages you to think very closely about what you want to do if you are interested in getting into something like this, but also that it motivates you to just do it if it is truly something that you're going to love. Anyway, it's rough out there in the online world, so good luck with it, and keep learning, keep leaping, and keep living. Oh, I guess I should do a little throwback. I don't like to just do talking head videos just for the sake of talking head videos, so I'll do a little throwback. I don't know if I mentioned, but I used to be in the short film making world, and then I moved on to television, and then I moved on to commercials, and then I moved into marketing, which is what I'm doing now. So I'm gonna throw back to back when I used to make short narrative films, and I did this cute little video with one of my good friends, Chris, on how much work it went into doing just a low budget 15-minute short film. And a lot of the work that you put into a short narrative film, it still applies for things like even these kinds of videos. This short little video will showcase some of the work that goes on behind the scenes. Anyway, check out the video, check out my other videos if you feel like it, and good luck out there. Oh, I forgot to mention, the reason I brought up the whole timeline of how long everything takes is because Vicky and I are going to be in Yosemite. I probably won't be releasing a video for a week or 2, but if you are interested in seeing the adventures we get up to in Yosemite, then feel free to subscribe. Keep on learning, leaping, and living. I'll catch you later, alright? Peace.
It's not exactly easy to make a movie. Let's take a look at what exactly goes into making a short, no-budget film. It starts with an idea. If you don't have an idea, then get smart, stupid. Next is putting that idea on paper and writing the screenplay. This is the longest process for Eric Chan because he isn't good at writing. You write one draft, then a second, then a third, and onwards until you've passed around so many drafts that if your screenplay was an STD, it'd be chlamydia. This process is normally about 8 months for Eric. Once the final draft is locked in, you can begin the pre-production phase. This means storyboarding, shot listing, balancing the budget, casting actors, acquiring equipment, scouting locations, figuring out transportation, determining wardrobes and costumes, getting makeup, finding and making props, locking in crew members, determining rehearsals or table reads, crying, scheduling production days that work for everyone, doing camera tests, organizing the catering, and just prepping everything else you need to film. This process usually takes about 3 months, with small breaks for rehydrating since Eric cries so much. Then comes production. The filming days are when everything comes together and everything goes wrong. Imagine planning out your wedding and then realizing on the day of that you were supposed to be planning a film shoot. That's how badly most film shoots go. The number of filming days is determined by the complexity of the idea. Life in D20 was filmed over 4 days and generally ranged between 10 and 14 hours each, again with breaks because Eric cries so damn much. Life in D20 had a crew of 3 most days and a crew of 0 on some. There was one day when a microphone stand was the boom mic operator and a tripod was the cameraman. There wasn't a single crew member. That was the day Eric cried the most during production. Next is post-production. It starts with sifting through the hours of footage and labeling everything while syncing sound for every shot. This process takes about 2 weeks. Picture editing follows, which took Eric about 5 months. Then visual effects were added, which took Eric another few weeks. Then sound mixing and designing takes place. This took Eric about a month. Finally, color grading and denoising the final film took Eric another 4 months. Final film is finished, costing Eric thousands of dollars in a year of his life. Was it worth it, Eric? Job well done, Eric. Job well done. Or not. We haven't actually seen the movie, so